Tick, tock. Do you hear that? That is the sound of your life evaporating. Every second, another drop vanishes from the finite reservoir you were given at birth. We fill these fleeting moments with so much noise, don't we? The endless scroll of social media, the next episode of a show we'll forget by tomorrow, the pointless meeting about a project that feels meaningless, the chase for the next promotion, the next gadget, the next fleeting dopamine hit. We are masters of busyness. We build careers, accumulate possessions, and curate our online personas with meticulous care. We are productive. We are successful. We are empty. Have you ever felt it? That quiet, creeping dread in the dead of night, when the noise finally stops. A voice whispers from the depths of your soul, "Is this it? Is this really what you're trading your life for?" We have become professional time killers, experts in distracting ourselves from our own existence. We quote the wisdom of others, but have we ever dared to formulate our own? We fear death, but have we ever stopped to ask if the life we're so desperately clinging to is even truly alive? We become connoisseurs of wine, of film, of music, but have we ever become connoisseurs of our own soul? This is not a dress rehearsal. This is the only performance you get. The Stoics knew this. They saw the tragedy of a life spent in quiet desperation, a life lived on autopilot, and they offered not a comfort, but a challenge to wake up, to stop being a passive vessel for the world's distractions, and to start sculpting a life of substance, meaning, and purpose. The question is not whether your life will end. The question is whether you will have truly lived before it does. What should you have to show for your life? Often an elderly person has no other proof by which he could justify his long life, except for his age. Seneca, how long have you been alive? Take the number of your years, multiply it by 365, and then by 24. How many hours have you lived? What do you have to show for that time? For many people, the answer to all these questions is the same. Not enough. We've had so many hours that we've taken them for granted. All we can show for our time on this planet is a game of golf. Years spent in an office, hours wasted watching mediocre films, a stack of meaningless books we barely remember, and perhaps a garage filled with toys. We are like a character from Raymond Chandler's novel The Long Goodbye. Mostly I just kill time, he says, and it dies hard. One day our clocks will run out, and then it would be nice to be able to say, yes, I made the most of them. Not in the form of achievements, money, or status, but in the form of wisdom, insight, and real progress in what all people strive for. Could you argue that you have truly done something with the time allotted to you? Could you prove that you have truly lived your years? And not just lived them, but lived them fully? Say your own word. It is shameful for an old or elderly person to gather wisdom from a textbook. Thus said Zeno, and you yourself? And this was said by Cleanthes. And you? How long will you be under the command of others? Command yourself. Say a word worthy of memory. Utter something of your own. Seneca. So we're challenged to show real wisdom for the time we've lived. But where does this wisdom come from? Reflecting on the theme of immortality, Ralph Waldo Emerson lamented in his notebooks that writers circle around a complex topic, relying on quotes. He wrote, "I hate quoting. Tell me what you know yourself. Seneca said the same thing 2 centuries earlier. It's much easier to quote, to rely on the wise words of others, especially when the people you are referencing are such monumental figures. It is much harder and scarier to stick your neck out and formulate your own thoughts. But how do you think those very wise and true ideas from those very monumental figures first came into being? Your personal experience has its own value. You accumulate your own wisdom, you state your own claims. Leave something for the ages, both in words and by example. What are you afraid of losing? You are afraid to die, so what? Is such a life not the same as death? Seneca, to speak our own truth requires courage. It requires us to face our deepest fears. And the greatest of all fears is the fear of death. But Seneca turns this fear on its head with a devastating question. He tells a stunning story of an obscenely wealthy Roman who was carried by his slaves on a litter. Once, when he was lifted from his bath, he asked, "Am I sitting yet?" The meaning is this: what a sad life, how detached from the world he is, that he doesn't even know if he is on the ground. How did this man even know if he was still alive? Most people fear death, but sometimes this fear raises the question, what exactly are we afraid of losing? For many people, the answer is hours in front of the TV, gossip, gluttony, an empty waste of potential, reports on a boring job. If you look at it strictly, is this life? Is it worth desperately clinging to and fearing its loss? It doesn't seem so. As meaningless as expensive wine. You know the taste of wine and honey, and it makes no difference whether 100 or 1,000 jugs pass through your bladder. You are only a filter. Seneca, is this the life we're so desperate to protect? A life of passive entertainment and consumption? Here is another contemptuous expression from Seneca. He was a rich man and probably enjoyed good drinks from time to time. His point of view might shock anyone who, after success in adulthood, has become a snob about wines, though the same logic can easily be applied to foodies, gadget fans, music lovers, and many other fans and files. No matter how pleasant, fun, and captivating pleasures may be, it is worth strictly defining their place. At the end of your life, you won't be given a prize for consuming more, working more, spending more, collecting more, or learning more about different vintage wines than anyone else. You are just a pipeline, a vessel that temporarily contained these exquisite products and interacted with them. If you lust after them, this consideration might help you dim their shine a little. Don't work yourself to exhaustion. You must give rest to the soul. After resting, it will become healthier and more vigorous. Just as you should not demand a constant harvest from fertile fields, since their fertility will quickly be exhausted if they are never given a rest, so too will the soul's strength be broken by constant labor. After a little relaxation and rest, the soul will regain its strength. Tireless labor of the soul becomes a source of a certain dullness and lethargy. Seneca, so we're called to reject a life of empty consumption. We're called to live with purpose, but this active, meaningful life demands energy. You can't read Marcus Aurelius and Seneca without being struck by the difference between them. Completely different people, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. To whom would you entrust the colossal responsibility of an empire? Probably Marcus Aurelius. But which person would you rather be? Perhaps Seneca, One reason is that Seneca seemed to have what we would now call a work-life balance. Between the lines of Marcus Aurelius, it's clear he is tired. With Seneca, one always feels energy, freshness, and strength. This is likely directly related to his philosophy of rest and relaxation, combined with his rigorous study and other Stoic rituals. The mind is a kind of muscle, and like other muscles, it can be overstrained, overworked, and even damaged. Our physical health can be harmed by excessive diligence, lack of rest, and bad habits. Remember the tale of John Henry, the man who competed with a machine? Well, he died from the strain. Remember that. Today you may face something that requires all your patience, full concentration, clarity of thought, or creative breakthroughs. Life is a long journey, and such moments are frequent. Will you be able to handle them if you work yourself to exhaustion, sparing no effort? If you abuse your body, what do you have to show for your life? This is not a question for the end of your days, but for right now. It is a challenge to stop being a mere filter for experiences, a passive audience to your own existence. It's a call to find your own voice, to question what you're afraid of losing, and to build a life so rich and meaningful that the fear of its end is eclipsed by the joy of having truly lived it. Rest, reflect, and then act. Don't just kill time. Make your time alive. If you are ready to stop killing time and start living a life of purpose, I invite you to subscribe to our channel. A heartfelt thank you to our partners for their support in making this journey possible. Exploring their offerings is a wonderful way to help our community continue to grow. Let's build a life worth living together.